The infighting that we've seen in Congress in the past, if that can be reduced to something that's not a hindrance for getting these bills across the finish line, that's one part of the project. Infighting inside the Trump White House that we saw in the first term really stood in their way of accomplishing as much as they could have accomplished. And I know Susie Wiles, we talked about this before the show, I know Susie Wiles has put out an edict to say that there is no drama on her watch, that she doesn't want people using that platform as a way to springboard themselves and their image and their character ahead of the president and his agenda that he was voted to enact.
Yeah, it's one and the same, right? I mean, what she's doing internally is basically what we're talking about for Congress here. Like, don't take the bait. Mm-hmm. Don't take the bait. Don't let other people
And we
get
saw her
involved
execute exactly that during the campaign.
Exactly.
I mean, this was an insanely disciplined campaign built to win, to get across the finish line.
Yeah, there
100%.
weren't all these distracting leaks, and there weren't two camps fighting each other, even though the media tried to play it up.
Yeah,
like who's Susie in control, or is Chris LaCivita in control?
And they were both just
right.
No questions.
Cool as a cucumber.
Yep,
right.
totally.
And so I think they want to take that into the West Wing, which is going to be, it's just going to be huge, man. Because I remember, especially like that first year of the Trump White House the last time around, I got lunch with a guy, from the West Wing, and I'll never forget this conversation because I was like, man, it seems like everybody's at each other's throats over there. Like, what is going on? And he's like, Duncan, what you got to understand is about half these people are Democrats.
Oh,
because
it's true.
It's just,
Listen, it's a different coalition.
It's a different coalition.
Yeah.
I get it. But I think the first time around, so many people were new to Washington and new to this, how this was set up. I think the Trump administration this time around has learned so many lessons on staffing and how to execute the agenda that I'm anticipating we're going to be very successful.
Yeah, that's right, because in the last couple of years, we've seen the true colors of those troublemakers that started early on. Scaramucci and the chick who's on The View. They were the ones who were inside looking for the big spotlight on themselves, not on the voters who put President Trump there. That's the reason he's there. He's fighting for America. This is a guy who cares about our country more than maybe anybody else in the entire country. And I am hopeful that people listen to what Susie is saying and they actually help the president.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, chief of staff, that's a tough job. That's a lot of responsibility. And I think most people don't even know what that is.
Yeah. Hardest job in Washington, no question about it. I mean, look, the other thing is all those people you just referenced, they all still exist. And what's happening in D.C. and what will happen over the next 20 days that'll carry into the first 100 and beyond is there are a whole bunch of people who are claiming to know everything.
Yeah.
Right? They're claiming to be, because they had one conversation with the president, that they know exactly the way, and they're the only ones that know, and they stir up trouble. My point is to lawmakers, and it sounds like Susie's doing this as chief of staff, put the blinders on, like a racehorse. Put the blinders on, look forward. You're just running for the finish line here. And you don't have to worry about all of the chaos on each side because up to this point, it's been fine. You've had a honeymoon period between Election Day and Inauguration Day where, some nominees are your biggest trouble that you've had to argue those kind of things. But your agenda is not. I mean, people largely know what people voted on. They know what Trump ran on and what he intends to do. That's great. That all stops on Inauguration Day. Mm-hmm. And immediately the shooting will begin from the outside. But if you have those blinders on, you're just focused on trying to execute it and not focused upon, what somebody wrote about somebody. Or I was on a call this morning where somebody is like, well, here's the thing. The House is just going to pass whatever Trump wants, and the Senate's just going to have to take it. Now, there may be some truth to that statement, but don't do that now. That's not the last thing you want to do if you're trying to get this stuff done is do that or the reverse of it. The Senate's just going to do what it's going to do, and the House just has to take it. Don't create the internal dynamics. Mm-hmm. That's the way you start ruining stuff. Pretty soon you get a committee chairman. It's like, well, go fuck yourself. Right? I'm here for 6 years. You guys can go fuck yourselves. That's the kind of thing that ends up happening when you have rhetoric like that. I think Thune and Johnson are really well positioned to work incredibly well together. They understand that politics is a team sport. And, you know, there's a lot of people around here in politics who never played team sports, quite obviously.
Yeah.
You know, and you can see that on the way that they sort of address, like they never had a team sport victory anyway.
Well, it goes back to what Smug was saying about, like, keep that in the family. It's like, you want to know the number one sign of a failing franchise. You know, I don't care what sport you're talking about, but when stuff comes from the locker room
That's right.
out to public,
Dude,
and when
that's right.
stuff from the locker room gets out in public, you know that's a dysfunctional team, and that team can't win.
Yep.
It's like, I mean, dude, that is such a good example because all these championship teams you see who always win, it's like a code of silence. I remember when the Broncos had their dynasty going, they had a thing in the locker room where the offensive line, if anyone got their name or their photo in the paper, they had to pay a fine in towards it because it's not about them,
I
it's
love
about
that.
the team.
Yeah.
That's the kind of discipline. Like if we can have, Republicans saw what a big victory we had on Election Day. It felt good. Do you know why it felt good? Because it was one team, one dream. You keep that going. You listen, if we all stick together in this, we can't be stopped. We saw that on Election Day. Keep that energy going. Get this stuff done. It can be done. It will be done if we all stick together.
Yeah, totally. Really well said.